Studying for the RBT certification is very intimidating. You think you know everything. Some of the concepts are a little confusing. Some of them are getting kind of mixed up in your head. You're practicing, whether you've come from an ABA background, maybe a behavior tech, or you're just like fresh into this. It is a little bit intimidating. It's a state board certification test. You want to do everything you can to pass. So in this video, I'm going to cover what I've noticed most RBTs, including myself, struggled with prior to taking the certification, just kind of getting a grasp of these concepts. Books are great. These online videos are great, but sometimes we really need things to just be translated into plain English and not written like a dissertation. So I want to go over just 5 most difficult concepts on the RBT exam. And I'm going to explain them. I want you to leave comments below and definitely subscribe to the channel, but leave comments below if you find some other things really tough to understand and you'd like for me to break them down to you, or maybe we can help one another in the comment section if you have another way to describe the concept that maybe was easier for you to understand. Let me know. So the very first one I want to cover is going to be continuous measurement procedures. So first one we have is frequency, which is the number of times a behavior occurs. So frequency is pretty easy because we use the word frequent in our daily language. And I have a little video here. Let me see if you guys can hear it. It's from The Simpsons, by the way. I'm a Simpsons fan. You want to think, how many times does a behavior occur? So in this clip, we can see Homer eating donuts.
You like donuts, eh? Well, have all the donuts in the world.
Yeah.
More. I don't understand it. James Coco went mad in 15 minutes.
Okay, so in that video, we will be counting, for instance, the number of times Homer ate a pair of donuts. And that would be frequency count. I don't know, was it like 50 or something really ridiculous? He just really went overboard. The next step of continuous measurement is duration, which is exactly what it sounds like, how long the behavior occurs. Let's say it took Homer Simpson 15 minutes to eat all the donuts. Then the duration of the donut eating behavior is 15 minutes. We usually use like timers start to finish. Now, another continuous measurement procedure is latency. And this is where a lot of people have issues. They're like, latency, what? That is the amount of time between the SD and the behavior. So how long in between the SD have all the donuts in the world and the eating behavior? That is the latency. So in that video that we watched, when this blue guy gave him that command or that SD, how long did it take for Homer to start eating? Probably like 0.002 seconds. And then we have inter-response time, which is the amount of time between 2 behaviors, right? So the eating behavior and saying, more please, more please. Now his inter-response time was pretty short. But, in some cases, inter-response time can be a little bit longer. For instance, the amount of time in between hiccups. How many times did you, and it's just once. But then maybe 2 minutes later, there's another one. And you think it's gone because it's been 2 minutes and nothing. And then the 3rd minute, there's a hiccup. So that in-between time is the inter-response time. Another continuous measurement procedure is rate. Let me just say, when I first saw rate, when I was studying for the certification, I'm like, oh man, it's not that bad. Rate is count the number of times a behavior occurred and divide it by the time frame of the observation. For instance, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this clip. One of my favorite clips from Family Guy. I don't even watch Family Guy like this, but it's hilarious. Let me see if I can hit play.
Lewis, Mom, Mommy, Mama.
Okay, I think you get it. This is driving me crazy because I'm a mom and I'm like, what do you want? For instance, if Stewie says, Mommy, 30 times in 10 minutes, then the rate is 3 times per minute. A little bit of math, not too much, sprinkle a little bit of math in there, but you get it. Up next is the discontinuous measurement, which is partial interval, whole interval, and momentary time sampling. So with partial intervals, you want to ask, did the behavior occur at all during the interval? And this overestimates the behavior. So let's say, for instance, you bring me a plate of spaghetti. I eat 1 time in 1 minute and I just put the food down. I'm just doing this. Did the behavior occur? Yep, she's eating. She's doing a great job. She's doing a great job eating her food. The example that I put here is during a 1 minute interval, John rolled the ball once. We were like, roll the ball again, John? And John is just like, once is enough, I think. I don't want to do it again. So that overestimates the behavior. In that instance, we'll say, yeah, John rolled the ball. But in the back of our minds, we're like, it was only once. Now, the whole interval, this behavior occurs during the entire interval. It underestimates behavior. So, for example, Bob engaged in nail biting during the entire 1 minute observation period. Think, did the behavior happen the entire observational period? If the behavior stopped at any point during the observation period, then it does not count. So if SpongeBob is biting his nails for your whole interval, let's say it's 15 seconds, then that is a yes, he gets a check. But if for 14 seconds he does this, and the last second he stops, no, it did not occur during the entire interval. Another one is discontinuous measurement. Momentary time sampling. Did the behavior occur at that exact moment? It does overestimate behavior. So, for example, the principal checked on the class at noon and observed all the students nicely engaging in on-task behavior, so they earned a pizza party. Now, if the class was like throwing spitballs and wads of stuff, you know how students are, at 11:59, but then they hear Mrs. Krabappel or someone walking up to the door and they go, shh, everybody work. And Mrs. Krabappel or whoever it is walks into the room, it doesn't matter because at that specific time they were on task. So good for you guys. You earned a pizza party. Then there's preference assessments. We have free operant, observing how long a client engages with an item. This is pretty easy. So free operant, think like, yeah, you're free to play with this toy for however long you want. So I could be playing with my phone and I'm like on there for an hour and then I put it down and you just count that I was playing with my phone for an hour, which does not happen. Another example is May played with the blocks for 7 minutes. And you remember, you think, how long did they engage with the item? And then they might find another item like, oh, I like this phone better, Now, another preference assessment is forced choice. And I use The Matrix because everybody's seen this movie or heard of it, right? So you present 2 items and the client chooses one. So you present a client with a red crayon and a blue crayon and you go, what do you want? And that's a forced choice because you're forcing them to choose in between A or B, 1 or 2. Another preference assessment method is multiple stimulus with replacement. Guys, this is confusing, so listen. Items are displayed and the person selects which one they want the most. The one they choose stays in the array, and the unchosen items are replaced with new items. So Jerry lines up a banana, grapes, and an apple in front of Tom, which is multiple stimulus. Tom chooses the apple. The unchosen fruit are removed and replaced with other fruit options. That's where the with replacement comes in, but the apple stays in the array. In a multiple stimulus without replacement, stimuli are displayed and the person selects which one they want the most. The unchosen stimuli are not replaced. They stay there. So for example, the RBT displays fruit snack, cracker, cheese stick, and a pretzel. Tom chooses a fruit snack. The RBT just rearranges the other stimuli, like, which one do you want? It looks better now that it's in a different arrangement, right? Which one do you want? Think, the remaining stimuli are not replaced. We're not removing what he did not choose. It's without replacement. We're just mixing it up. Another thing that our RBTs get stuck on is chaining procedures. I know. I had struggled with this and I passed it, right? I passed the certification, and then you're kind of in the thick of it and you're with your client and you're like, oh wait, forward chaining. Let me just think. Look at the instructions. And goodness, for those of you who have supervisors who put things in the instructions, it's amazing. Okay. Otherwise you're on Google like this, trying to look it up. So in forward chaining, you teach the first step and you prompt the rest. Move forward. In backwards chaining, you start at the last step and you prompt the rest. So forward, teach the first, backwards, teach the back, and prompt the rest. Okay. Now you have total task analysis, which is a walking through each step, and praise is provided through the task. So I also put a little image here. I don't know if you can see it. When you wet your hands, yay, lather, yay, good for you. What's next? Scrub, rinse. Yes, let's rinse. Let's try. That's teaching the whole task. That's a total task analysis. And forward chaining, you only teach the first step and you prompt the rest. In backwards chaining, you teach the last step and you prompt the rest. Okay. And then finally, we have differential reinforcement. There's DRO, there's DRI, there's DRA, there's DRL. It never ends. But DRO, DRI, and DRA are some of the most kind of confusing ones because two of those we kind of get mixed up, and I'll show you why. Differential reinforcement of alternative behavior, which is DRA. I gave an example here. The RBT will withhold reinforcement for inappropriate behavior and will reinforce a more appropriate one. So if my daughter is like, Mommy, give me candy corn, and I'm just like holding it, and she goes, may I have candy corn, please? Yes, of course. That's an alternative behavior, and we reinforce the alternative behavior. The differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior, where we praise alternative behaviors, is like a common one is you can't scream and be quiet at the same time. So if I'm constantly in class like, I know the answer, pick me, we don't give that behavior reinforcement. But if I know some teachers do catch a bubble and raise your hand. So if a student goes, we reinforce that behavior because she's not shouting. You can't shout and do this. It's incompatible. You can't do both at the same time. And then we have differential reinforcement of other behaviors. Any reinforcement is withheld for any inappropriate behavior, like in DRA and DRI, but the reinforcement for appropriate behavior is given for any other behavior in a specific time. So just remember that reinforcement is not given for inappropriate behaviors like in DRA. So for instance, in DRA, it could be an inappropriate behavior as long as it's not the behavior we're trying to put on extinction, right? So let's say we're trying to put shouting on extinction, and we're like, I want to go to the store. And we're trying to put that on extinction. But instead of doing that, your client just goes, I want to go to the store now. Regardless of the delivery or the hitting the hand, I want to go to the store now. We're praising it because they are not shouting. So one last thing I want to tell you about this certification is take your time. It does seem intimidating, but as long as you study, maybe even have some study buddies like me, I could be your study buddy. You can follow us on Facebook, by the way, and Instagram. I'll put the links below. And we have other RBTs, kind of have like a growing family there. Whole exchange, like little tips and tricks and, what should I do in this situation? And what would you do in this situation? It's basically like a family. And for those of you studying to take the BCB certification, like myself, I should be taking it at the beginning of next year, like the first quarter. This also helps to kind of renew what you know, and we will be expanding on BCBA study items in future videos. And I really hope this was helpful. If you want me to clarify anything else, I'll make another video for you. I don't mind. Just let me know what you need help with. Well, thanks so much. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll wait. Kidding. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on our social medias. Bye-bye.